how I learned to stop comparing myself to others. You ever just scroll through Instagram for 5 minutes, and then suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you're in bed questioning every life decision you've ever made? Yeah, that was me. 25, working retail, juggling community college classes, and somehow still finding time to hate myself over someone else's beach pics in Chalum. Let me paint the picture. I work at a mid-range women's clothing store that thinks it's high-end because the mannequins wear fake glasses and everything's beige. You know the one. I fold overpriced loungewear while listening to acoustic Taylor Swift covers on loop and pretending I don't notice when a customer dumps a full coffee into the $60 joggers pile. It's fine. Everything's fine. Meanwhile, every time I open Instagram, I see people my age living their best lives, drinking bottomless mimosas on yachts, running startups from their MacBooks in Bali, or flexing their engagement rings that probably cost more than my yearly income. And me? I get excited when the gas price drops by 10 cents. There's one girl in particular, Emily. We went to high school together. She was always that kind of casually perfect person who didn't even try. You know the type. She never had braces. She never had a pimple. She got into UCLA without even announcing it until graduation. These days, she's an interior wellness lifestyle creator, which apparently means she posts photos of pastel linen sheets and avocado toast while casually promoting essential oils that cost more than my monthly groceries. I hate that I know this much about her. Yes, I know social media is fake. I know it's a highlight reel. But damn, it still gets to you when you're busting your ass for $15 an hour and someone's out here saying, working from the beach today, lol, with their feet in the sand and their laptop balanced on a pina colada. Anyway, the story isn't about Emily. It's about how I finally snapped, and then how a conversation with my 81-year-old grandmother unexpectedly rewired my brain. Let's rewind a bit. So it was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays are when I do the closing shift with Jenna, who's one of those girls who always smells like vanilla and somehow never has lint on her black jeans. She was in the back talking to her boyfriend on speakerphone rude, and I was at the register half-heartedly wiping down the plexiglass shield. I just got a notification. Emily posted a story. Against my better judgment, I tapped it. There she was, glowing in some airy white villa with the caption, "Slow mornings, fast Wi-Fi." I think I made a noise. Not quite a groan, not quite a snort, just a sound of pure internal combustion. My boss saw my face and asked if I was okay. I told her I had cramps, which was only partially a lie, because apparently jealousy does feel like a stomachache when it reaches full bloom. When I got home that night, I did the thing. The deep scroll. I cyberstalked Emily like it was my unpaid side hustle. I ended up on her LinkedIn, her Pinterest, the vision board was giving rich girl autumn, and eventually even her boyfriend's Instagram, he's a creative producer, whatever the hell that means. I won 48 a.m. I was 99.9% sure I was the least successful person I knew. I stared at my bedroom wall, which is literally just a cracked eggshell white because my landlord doesn't allow paint, and felt like I was wasting my life. Then came the spiral. Why didn't I try harder in high school? Why did I pick a major I don't even care about anymore? Why am I still in college at 25 when people like Emily have already published an ebook? It was that kind of night. The next morning, I had a class at 9 a.m. I showed up late, looking like a sock someone forgot in the dryer. After class, I texted my grandma. We usually do brunch on Fridays when I'm not working. She offered to pick me up. I was hopping for pancakes and low-stakes small talk. Instead, I got a life reset. We went to this little diner that hasn't changed since 1973. You know the type. Sticky menus, waitresses who call you hun, and booths that squeak if you breathe too hard. I love it. My grandma, Ruth, is the kind of old woman who wears floral dresses with orthopedic sneakers and still puts on lipstick for breakfast. She's sharp as hell and doesn't sugarcoat a damn thing, which is both terrifying and, in this case, exactly what I needed. We were halfway through our eggs when she asked what was wrong. I must have looked like I hadn't slept in days, because I hadn't. I started ranting about school, work, Instagram, how everyone seems to have it all figured out except me. I didn't even realize how fast I was talking until I stopped to breathe. She looked at me, stirred her coffee black, 2 sugars, and said, "Honey, what makes you think they're not just as lost as you?" And I just blinked at her. You know that feeling when someone says something so simple, but it cracks you open like a walnut? That. Honey, what makes you think they're not just as lost as you? I didn't know what to say, mostly because I hadn't even considered that possibility. In my head, the people I follow online live in some parallel universe, the kind where bank accounts are always full, skin is always glowing, and nobody ever cries in the shower. My grandma just kept sipping her coffee like she didn't just drop a philosophical bomb on my head. Let me tell you a little about her. Ruth, or Ruthie, as she insists her friends still call her, is 81 years old and somehow cooler than me. She reads mystery novels like it's a competitive sport, does the New York Times crossword in pen, psychotic behavior, IMO, and once told me that if you're going to lie, at least make it interesting. Met my grandfather at a sock hop in 1962, married him 6 months later, and spent the next 40 years raising 3 kids, balancing part-time jobs, and running what she refers to as a low-key domestic circus. My grandfather passed away 10 years ago, but Ruth never slowed down. She travels solo now, little road trips to random small towns where she just wants to see what the antique stores are like. She still drives her '98 Buick like she's in the Indy 500, bakes the best damn banana bread you've ever had, and has a standing date with her friends every Thursday night for gin rummy and gossip. The woman is a legend. But more than that, she's real. No pretenses, no filters. If something sucks, she says it. If she's proud of you, she'll tell you, usually in a way that makes you cry in the car afterward. So when she said that one sentence, "What makes you think they're not just as lost as you?" I knew she meant it, and that she'd probably thought about this kind of thing more than I ever had. I poked at the last bit of pancake on my plate and finally said, "Because they look happy, fulfilled, like they have direction. I don't even know what I'm doing next semester, let alone next year." She didn't argue with me, didn't tell me I was wrong. She just reached across the table, tapped her perfectly manicured nail. Yes, she still gets them done, every second Tuesday against my phone, which was sitting screen up between the syrup and the ketchup. "Sweetheart, that little black mirror doesn't show you the whole story. It shows you the part people want you to see, the shiny part, not the crying on the bathroom floor part." Then she told me something that stuck with me way longer than any motivational quote I'd seen on Pinterest. "When I was your age, I thought everyone else had a map, and I was the only one wandering around lost. Turns out, nobody has a map. Some people are just better at faking like they do." And damn if that didn't hit like a truck. After brunch, we went for a walk. Just around the block, she said she needed to walk off the bacon, even though she only ate half of one strip and gave the rest to the birds like she always does. It was one of those rare sunny days where everything smells like warm pavement and dryer sheets. We didn't talk much, just walked in comfortable silence while I tried to process the fact that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the only one stumbling through adulthood in the dark. That night, I did something radical. I muted Emily's account. I didn't unfollow her, I'm not a monster, but I took her off my daily doom scroll rotation. Then I did the same with a few other inspo accounts that mostly just made me feel like garbage about myself. I cleaned house. Marie Kondo'd my feed. If it didn't spark joy, it got the mute. I also found a folder in my phone I forgot existed, full of dumb selfies, blurry friend pics, and screenshots of texts that made me laugh. I looked through it and realized I do have good stuff in my life. It's just not always Instagrammable, and maybe that's okay. The next few weeks weren't some magical transformation. I didn't suddenly start meditating at sunrise or find my true calling. I still worked retail. I still had papers to write. I still got jealous sometimes, but something had shifted. I started noticing when the spiral was happening. I'd feel the tightness in my chest, that familiar jealousy creeping in, and I'd pause. I'd think about Ruth, eating pancakes in her floral dress, telling me nobody has a damn map. And I'd breathe. Few days after the brunch epiphany TM, I had a shift at work that felt like it was designed by someone who hates joy. It started with a woman yelling at me because we were out of her size in a cardigan that looked like it had been knit by a depressed alpaca. Then a toddler threw up near the fitting rooms. Then the credit card reader froze during peak hour, and I had to pretend like I wasn't panicking inside. In short, a regular Tuesday in retail. During my 15-minute break, which always feels like 7, I sat in the back room with my sad little sandwich and pulled out my phone, pure muscle memory. I opened Instagram. The first story that popped up, Emily, again. This time she was in Positano, wearing a dress that looked like it was made out of moonlight and privilege, holding a glass of wine bigger than my future. The caption, "Romanticizing my life, one sunset at a time." I could feel the old jealousy creeping in, that bitter heat behind my ears, that inner voice going, "Look at her. And now look at you. She's in Italy. You're in a break room that smells like mop water and stale granola bars." But then something weird happened. Instead of spiraling, I laughed, out loud, like actual laughing. Because it was so performative, so curated, and because I realized I don't actually want that life. I mean, sure, it looks gorgeous, but I know myself. I get sunburned in under 7 minutes. I hate tiny European bathrooms. I once cried in a hostel in Prague because the Wi-Fi wouldn't connect to Netflix. That life isn't for me, not really. I went back to the floor feeling, not great, but better, more grounded, like I'd remembered who I was for a second there. Around this time, I also started talking to this girl in my econ class, Maya. She always sat 2 rows ahead of me, wore giant headphones, and carried a tote bag with a possum on it that said, "Everything is garbage, but I'm still cute." Instant icon. One day we got paired for a group project and ended up chatting after class. I don't even remember how we got there, but at some point she said, "You ever feel like you're living in a blooper reel while everyone else is in a Vogue photoshoot?" I nearly screamed, "Yes, yes, I do." We got coffee, then tacos. Then she invited me to a little rooftop thing at her apartment where her friends drank La Croix and talked about astrology like it was a team sport. They weren't influencers or girl bosses or crypto bros. They were baristas and interns and overworked grad students. One girl was a nanny and a part-time drummer. Another guy worked tech support and did watercolor portraits of raccoons in his spare time. No one pretended to have it all together. It was a mess, a beautiful, chaotic, genuine mess, and I felt included. That night, I walked home thinking maybe life didn't have to look like a Pinterest board. Maybe it could look like Maya's possum tote bag, weird, unfiltered, a little unhinged, but somehow still cute. Of course, I still had moments. It's not like you just snap your fingers and stop comparing yourself to everyone. Like a week later, I saw another post, not from Emily this time, but some random influencer with a neon-lit apartment, six-pack abs, and a fridge full of pressed juices. And for a second, the old feelings flared up again. But then I remembered something my grandma said over brunch too. Yes, there was a sequel. Comparing lives is like comparing soup recipes. Yours might not have truffle oil, but it could still knock someone's socks off. God, I love that woman. And she's right. My soup has student loans and a 12-hour shift this weekend, but it also has late-night laughs, library naps, unexpected friendships, and banana bread from a woman who's lived through 8 decades and still finds joy in crossword puzzles. Somewhere around midterms, I caught myself doing something wild. I was proud of myself. Like actually proud. Not the fake kind where you post, "so grateful" on social media and wait for people to validate your existence with heart emojis. No, I was in my pajamas, hair in a scrunchie, eating leftover stir-fry straight out of the Tupperware at 11 p.m., and I thought, you're doing okay. That's it, just okay. Not perfect, not crushing it, not killing the game. Just okay. And after the emotional roller coaster of the past few months, okay felt like a damn miracle. It wasn't one big thing that changed me. It was a bunch of tiny moments, like puzzle pieces finally snapping into place after being upside down for years. Like the time I aced a test I was sure I bombed. Or when a customer at work told me I had a very soothing energy, me. Chaotic, semi-sarcastic me. Okay then. Or when Maya texted me out of the blue. "Hey, just so you know, you're really easy to be around. Like, comfort food but human." I screenshotted that text and set it as my lock screen. No shame. There was this other moment, too. Super mundane, but it stuck with me. I was walking home from class, headphones in, listening to some lo-fi beat tape that made me feel like the main character in a movie no one asked for. It was cold, but not unpleasant. The kind of cold where your breath fogs up and your cheeks feel alive. I passed a bakery I'd never noticed before. It smelled like cinnamon and hope. I stopped, bought a croissant for no reason other than the fact that I could, sat on a bench and ate it like it was a religious experience. No scrolling, no photos, no aesthetic. Just me, the flaky pastry, and a small realization. I don't have to perform my life for anyone. Not online, not even in my own head. Sometimes you can just be. Around that time, Emily posted a story about feeling burned out from too much travel. I almost laughed out loud. I mean, sure, burnout is real, but something about the phrase "too much Amalfi Coast" hit me sideways. And for once, I didn't feel the usual pang of jealousy. I felt, and I can't believe I'm saying this, compassion. She's human too, probably confused, probably overwhelmed, maybe even lonely. We're all out here trying to curate stability in a world that keeps hitting us with pop-up ads for someone else's highlight reel. And I finally understood what my grandma meant. Nobody has the map. We're all just following vague street signs, asking strangers for directions, and hoping we don't accidentally end up in a ditch. I even started posting again. Not like aspirational content or anything. Just dumb stuff that made me laugh. A selfie with my cat looking judgmental. A blurry video of Maya screaming at a raccoon. A picture of my banana bread that looked slightly haunted. No filters, no captions with poetic spacing, just me being real. One night I posted a photo of my desk, coffee-stained, cluttered, chaotic. The caption said, "This is what trying actually looks like." Girl from class DM'd me. "OMG, same. Thank you for posting this. I thought I was the only one." And that right there, that was the shift. I stopped using Instagram to compare my life. I started using it to connect. The last time I talked to my grandma, it was a Tuesday. She called while I was walking home from class, the phone buzzing in my coat pocket right as I was trying to decide between doing laundry or continuing to live in filth for another day. I picked up. She didn't even say hello. "So, Are you still comparing yourself to strangers on the internet, or did you finally snap out of it? I laughed so hard I almost tripped on the curb. We talked for 40 minutes. She told me about her neighbor's affair, her latest attempt at learning how to use voice to text, it keeps calling me Roof, and how she was thinking of dyeing her hair, something scandalous like Plum. Before we hung up, she said this. You know, sweetheart, there's no prize for being the most polished, but there's a quiet kind of joy in just being real. It's a hell of a lot less exhausting. And I swear to God, I could feel something in my chest finally exhale. The truth is, I'm still figuring it out. Some mornings I wake up and feel like a total fraud. Other days, I feel like a slightly competent adult with marginally improved posture. I still work weekends, still pull all-nighters, still eat cereal out of a mug because all my bowls are dirty. But I don't hate myself for it anymore. I've stopped expecting my life to look like a perfectly lit apartment tour. I've stopped measuring my worth against the airbrushed avatars of people I've never met. I've stopped treating success like it has to come with an aesthetic. Maybe most importantly, I've stopped pretending I'm the only one who's lost sometimes. Because plot twist, we all are. Even the people who look like they've got it together. Even Emily. Even influencers with jawlines that defy physics. Everyone is winging it. Some of us are just doing it in sweatpants. So yeah, that's how I learned to stop comparing myself to others. Not from a self-help book or a TED Talk or a 5 ice bath routine, but from a woman in her 80s who bakes banana bread like a love language, a friend with a possum tote bag, and a croissant on a cold afternoon. It wasn't a single light bulb moment. It was 1,000 tiny flickers. Real life unfiltered. And honestly, I think I like it this way.